illustrations. Man, like the difference between this and this is like nuts. Yeah, really good stuff.
Yep. This year was kind of insane. 2024 turned out to be the first year that I actually could financially support myself with drawing or with art. It was a year of high highs and very low lows, but it turns out for me, in hindsight, most importantly, it was a year of a whole lot of drawing. So let's go. This one is a sketchbook that I'm going to show you. That was the last one of 2023. Yes, I'm still messing the numbers up. That might happen a few times this video. And it's just for context for the other ones, because as 2024 ended, I easily have drawn more than I've done my entire life through different circumstances, but it was a lot of fun. So you can see that I was really uncertain with what sketchbook was supposed to be. And I just used it as a very quick doodle exercise, that anything that I did was basically every time that I would grab a phone, I would instead grab a sketchbook and just draw, even if it was just very, very quick and loose doodles. I quite like this one, actually. And this one's haunting. It should be like a cute older lady, but it turned out like a evil Hama from, like an eviler Hama from Avatar. Right, so we're gonna go pretty quick here. Through all the different sketchbooks, because I have one more that was basically at the end of the year before I started the new ones. It's just some random stuff in there. It's the first one. Now, truth be told, I, for some reason, was quite confused with what it actually meant to like use a sketchbook, because I initially only use it for like very quick doodles and like spending time. Very rarely did I ever study with it, and if I did, it wasn't really much time that went into it, but just very quick exercises, or like showing something, or avoid eye contact in a train, something like that. Other than that, I didn't really have to have any plan of what I was going to do. And this was the last one I did, 2024, I think. I'm terrible at dating my sketchbooks, so I had a bit of trouble organizing them before I got here. I just kind of had to remind myself of what it actually was, or like when I made them. But I remember here was a list, like just of trivial items that I did at the end of the year, because I was frustrated that I couldn't draw like out of memory easy things. Like I intentionally wrote down some very small and like easy shapes, but I couldn't really make them. So I tried to change that. Right. So this was the first one that I did at the beginning of the year. I remember this drawing pretty well. I was not in the best of headspaces. So what I did with this sketchbook, I made like a little vow to myself to use it for studying, and I want to draw every day. Now, I usually drew every day back then, but it wasn't actually learning something. It was just to spend time. And I didn't really like care for a sketchbook at all. I always heard that it doesn't, like you shouldn't care for a sketchbook. It's very easy to overvalue it, and I never had that problem. Quite in the contrast, for me, I didn't care at all about a sketchbook. I would just do something, right? Doodle something in there because, well, it was fun, and I figured it's a better way to spend time than, well, looking at your phone or anything like that. Now this one is a bit different. As you can see, there are blank pages here, and I try to leave them out. Like don't have blank pages at the end of the sketchbook, but this one's still ongoing actually. I use the sketchbook as like very quick and trivial like gesture drawings. There's a cool cat in here. Like trying out different pens, being very loose again. This is like very cheap paper, and the the big use for it in my case was to do more analog stuff, but also do gesture drawing. Like this was the space for it basically. So I was very generous with how I used the pages, let's just say. But that's basically it. Like I used this as the medium that was most useful for just doing a lot of repetitions. And like just getting a lot of sensible drawing down, let's just say. But in total, there's no masterpiece gonna come up in here. Right, so this one's still ongoing, so it like half counts. All right, after that one, I got that when I think for Christmas, and I figured I got myself that one for Christmas, that is. And I figured it's a big one, so it was February then, don't look at the drawing, goddamn. And I finished it in, what would that be, June? Jesus. I usually go through my sketchbooks like on one side, and then when I'm done, I flip it and I draw on the other. Right, and with this one, the idea was that I would just do one page a day, like in the evening or at night or whenever I could after work. And I just draw something that is a thing. Like I don't just randomly and sporadically do stuff like I did here on the second go through. You see how strict I am with those things, right? And so I just did more, I guess, illustrations, you would say, like just a bit more filling pages. Don't count the eyes here. I already got told that it's not a real beholder. And it's just, that might be my favorite image. Well, it's just drawings and drawings. Obviously, always when I could, like on the other side, you're going to spot studies every now and then. Hence, specifically, I think we're a bit of the iffy point, as it is. There's a little drawing of a few goblins. I figured, there's always so many goblins in fantasy. They need to have like really good makeout spots. So they have this little bay, I guess, where ships come in and they like have this caves, Anyways, that was the idea. I did like comic panels, all that type of thing that take a bit more effort and a bit more planning. Well, sometimes I followed through and sometimes I didn't. Sometimes it turned out a bit cursed. And sometimes it didn't. But that was just the idea, that I'm more comfortable to spend a little bit more time on it. And as I said, that was, I think, like 1 to 2 pages a day. And I was quite, I think I fulfilled that pretty well, if that's what you say. And I kept up with it. So, like 4 months, I think, this sketchbook was done. But I only had this one at home. We're gonna go to the one that I use for traveling. Like I try to have at least 2 sketchbooks with me, or like use 2 sketchbooks at a time. Once for like drawing at home, and once for whenever I need to go somewhere, and I need to avoid talking to people. It's very effective. Right. So we have a few drawings. Here's a friend doing a Twitch stream. And it's just like more images. Oh, I remember this one was for Mermaid, if I remember correctly. I did a few images for Mermaid on Instagram. Follow that one, by the way, for updates. I'm very inconsequential when it comes to uploads here on inconsistent, on uploads when it comes to here on YouTube. So that might always be a good idea. Some horses, some trying out stuff, still not being too precious. Getting some birds. I just felt a lot better not being too stressed about it. Because for some reason I felt like when I do one image per page, there is a lot of stress in the beginning because you have to plan the entire thing. But once you have that and you can just kind of zone out and do the thing that you've planned, it is much more like chill and you can just relax. Same with these portraits. I just have like 10-minute drawings or something, or 15-minute drawings where you're just kind of blocking the thing and then when everything's kind of set, you can zone out and chill. That's what I tried to do. Here's a little image that I think there's going to be a follow-up in the next sketchbook that I did for my dad, little panel, little comic panel. Right. There's some cats, some whale, mermaid, something, squid. It's a small character design challenge with, oh, I don't even know the prompt. I think it was jury, like heavenly jury with a prompt of gorillas, and that's what came out. But overall, this one felt quite good. As I said, it took, like it had 4 months. And while I was doing this one, I had a few other ones to go through when I was in the train or somewhere else that wasn't home. Right, and this is kind of the size that I try to keep in a little bag that I have everywhere I go. It started August. I think this one, or it finished August. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm terrible at keeping like sensible sketchbooks, but I just remember this one was in the train where I went to Germany, I think it was. And this is the first and last time that I'm ever going to use colored pencil, because I have no idea how people have the patience to do that. I think I went over a few parts of this face like 5 times. And I don't know, it feels a bit sadistic in my eyes. But in general, it was just a lot of imaginative drawing and just using just some stuff. I think, yeah, that was on the ride back home from Germany to Austria. And here just some smaller ones, but still I tried to keep in the vein of the other sketchbook. I tried to actually do like small illustrations for each page and actually dedicate some for them and not just plaster it with some doodles. These are my little nieces trolling each other in the shallow water. I don't even know what happened here. I think we cooked something and it splattered everywhere. And I think something that I tried to do a bit more here was just to paint larger scenes on smaller spaces, because the general idea still exists. Obviously, the proportions don't really work because like people are much bigger than they should be, but all that kind of didn't matter for me because I just wanted to like capture a very chaotic. I think we grilled something and it was really chaotic. We had like little dogs running around. My nieces chased them, which was not, yeah. Playing accordion. Now, if anybody knows the little toilet paper rolls, my nieces had a lot of fun with those. Right, and I was back, and that was the third one. To the next one. Now, cats. I don't know what it is about cats, but I think they're the coolest looking creatures, barring maybe birds. They're absolutely impossible to draw for me for some reason. Now, I did have a small course. I led a small course for kids about like comic drawing, so that came in quite useful. We're like out and about. This was very, very nice. I definitely can say that for every artist out there who's like a bit antisocial, but still, everybody needs to get amongst people every now and then. It's very nice to have a sketchbook because you can just not pay attention and it's somewhat socially acceptable. You just got to be confident in drawing, like not in the drawing itself, but just I'm going to draw now. So people can just not really care about it and you can just draw. It's very fun. More gesture drawing. It's just kind of like clothing and folds, everything along those lines. People. Now to come and think of it, I think that one was a bit more recent. It doesn't matter. It's just some clothing, trying out some different things. I think there was a study from Witch Hat Atelier, right? I'm not quite sure. And some more studies. I find that something that is very nice if you don't know what to draw in general. And it's like late at night and you feel like you were productive. Just give yourself like 30 minutes, open Pinterest, and draw the first people or something that you see. And that usually, even if it doesn't, like it's super nice for learning to draw something, it's actually quite chill to just draw something, right? So at the end of the day, you feel like you've done something. I like that little guy. I just get more comfortable with faces. Some thumbnails, actually using the sketchbook for work. Crazy, right? I think there was also work-related things, some small stuff. That was an autograph that I got from a friend when we went to Slovakia, Calvin. I'm gonna link him right here. I think there are gonna be a few more in there, and I use this for work. Never mind. Oh, this is from Oggy again. A friend who made a portrait, very flattering. Thanks, Oggy. Off to the next one. I can explain. Okay, this one's not full either. I was out of sketchbooks one day, so I went to my local store, and we here in Austria have a beautiful landscape, like amazing scenery, but turns out very limited access to drawing supplies. So I just went into a store and picked the only thing that was there, basically. Well, the paper is quite bad, but it worked out fine just for having something to draw, because I tried still to keep up the drawing. Every time that I had some free time or I would pick up a phone, that was again like a social event. I was somewhere, I think we played table tennis, and it was Mermaid. So you see like all of the sketchbooks are kind of like working at the same time to an extent. And I just drew something, some foliage. You see this is one that's like super loose. Just writing and being, okay, a bit too wasteful with it, but it's the idea. It's my brother, I think I captured him quite well here. His nieces. But yeah, this one's barely it, right? It's my emergency sketchbook, let's just say that. To the next emergency sketchbook. I think I bought that in the same time I did the other one. But I actually filled it first just because it was like super light, super easy to take with me. Right, this one was actually a bit earlier than the one before. Apologize for the very varying levels of dates that I get through here in the sketchbooks, but this one was the one that I used for, okay, maybe this is like this, when I went to Paris this year, which was an awesome trip. Went with a very, very amazing artist, and I actually I got to see Ian McKay, as you can see here. That's Ian McKay having his, I don't even know, I drew him as a creature. I'm not sure. I showed it to him afterwards. He laughed at it, so that was nice. That was really cool. I think it was Masters Academy, it was called. The event itself was kind of iffy, but yeah, the trip itself was amazing. And just more drawing. I saw a little girl with her dog, and she had little, I don't even know what it's called. She was zooming around, is what I'm saying. And just more portraits, birds, and just every time I saw something, I tried to either draw what I saw or what I thought about what I saw. So it never really, I never really had anything that was I never run out of ideas is what I'm saying. All right, almost done. So this one I picked up when I was in Slovakia. I actually got this in Slovakia as well. I got this from Jana. I'm going to put a link of her Instagram right here. And she made this for me. It's a little drawing bag, and I think it's the cutest thing ever. It's very nice. And I picked up this sketchbook as well. Wrong side, whoops. It was in November 2024, so you see we moved through here pretty quick. And it felt like every time I stopped drawing in a sketchbook because I had to like switch because of work. Because the reason I was drawing so much in sketchbooks was effectively also because I had to draw a lot in work, which is usually not what I was used to. I was usually doing either a commission or something with painting, but now I had to draw. I had to like comic draw and all that type of stuff. For updates on the personal work, I'm gonna make either I'll post it here if it's published already, and if I can, or I'll make another video, and that's probably gonna be doing like April or something when I can. And if you don't want to miss that, be sure to do the notification, like the bell, because yeah, I have very sporadic upload schedule and very high likelihood would miss it. Right, and I was just like drawing, filling up pages, being a lot more confident with the lines, and I felt like every time I pick up a sketchbook again, back to my point, like when I drew a lot digital before, it felt really weird, like it felt off. But when you do it quite a bit, it felt much better then. Like it immediately starts to feel a lot better. So if I can allow myself to give a little bit of advice when it comes to anything sketchbook related, is that the first, like I feel like it's very similar to when you start running again or anything sports related, is that in the beginning it feels awful. You run 10 meters and you're almost dying. And it's kind of the same here, is that you make a few lines and you feel like it's just the worst thing ever. And it might be, like that's the thing. You can look at it and it's just like awful. But the difference is that you just kind of need to keep on and try with something familiar, with something that you like and enjoy. Here for me it was fabric and just do a lot. I think that was a Justin Gerard study that turned out quite nice, and I tried to change up the perspective on some things a little bit. And here was just like another day where I felt like I'd do some shapes. I think I was talking to a person, I was just drawing shapes and do with that whatever, right? A lot of studies, or some studies I should say, of fabric and people and these goddamn cats that I'll never be able to draw. Too humanoid. Adding notes in there, should do that a bit more. Right, and back to the hands. And I really started to Alright, back to hands. So I started to really feel like I was like enjoying it more and more. Which is a strange thing with drawing for me, is that, the more you do it, it just, like, I always try to do something that's out of my comfort zone in a lot of ways, because the thing that I want to do that is in my comfort zone is what I do when I autopilot. I don't want to think, and I'm drawing, or I'm talking to people while I draw, and it's just something easy that you can do. All right, we finally arrived at Christmas. There's a tree, and I think I hung out in the neighboring village with my sister. It was very nice. Just some random drawing and some thumbnails that I want to do of a little illustration in the future. I hopefully can get to. But in total, I just felt a lot more at ease, I guess, with drawing a lot of things. Like my anatomy is still off, and I spot like mistakes, I guess, every time that I go through those. I like this one, small niece again. But in total, the idea for me is that I was just like the difference between drawing random things and just being frustrated because they didn't turn out well, and actually like doing that tiny little bit of planning before you do something, like, or deciding if you want to do an actual drawing of something and do like a tiny little bit of planning and it turns out well, or you just draw something, right? And you just draw like a circle, and you look, okay, what am I gonna do with the circle, right? Here, just some small dudes and stuff. And this one's not completely full either, so I have a few pages left before that one's full. I have a small one more. Let me just grab it. So I got this one in Slovakia as well. I think Jana and Ogi gifted it to me. And it's just the nicest little thing for like having something on the go, right? It was like the tiniest things to keep, and we were going on, like walking around all day. So like whenever you had a little break, or we sat somewhere, ate lunch, you can just draw something real quick. It's just like one of these. And this one's not even close to full yet either. So I'm gonna have a lot of spare. Got a cool autograph. If I can find the artist, I'll be sure to link it here. Right, so actually, there's a bit of a surprise with it, because at the middle of the year, when I was in Germany, an amazing artist actually convinced me to start watercolors. And so I did. And we're gonna go through the muddy journey of it, right? Give me a second. Now, don't let it fool you. This is actually not one sketchbook. I know. So when I was in Germany, I got convinced to start watercolors. Well, I was always like trying to, but I got encouraged to do it, which I'm very thankful for. But it turns out, you guys, watercolor is difficult as shit. And I was extremely like confused at what even is going on, right? Just as sporadic as my showcase of all the little things is gonna be, that's what was happening. Like I didn't know what paper to use. I had no idea, right? I had absolutely no clue. I thought I could just, I don't know. Like it's a lot of just muddying something, and I tried to follow like a way, but it didn't work. But what I did was, same with the light studies that are also here on the channel that you can check out, is that for learning, it's quantity over quality, at least at the very beginning, right? So I just did every day like 2 to 4 quick studies, even though they like usually turned out like an absolute muddy mess. I tried to get used to it. Sometimes it worked a bit better, and sometimes it didn't. And the thing is that every time I started doing watercolors, like I started the page and I drew it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it as simple as possible. But it, for some reason, turned out to be a bit of a mess. So I stopped for a little bit because I had to actually do some work. And what I did when I got back, I bought like a few hundred pages of very small like study papers, I think it was called. And this is, I think it's cold press. It is very cheap. And you can just get those and try it out. Now, the same as with the sketchbook, hilariously enough, in hindsight, I had the same problem as I did with those, is that I was just a bit, everybody says don't be too precious with it, but I was just not even precious at all. Like not even a little. I just did one after the other, and I expected it to work, and it didn't. And it, sometimes it resembles something, and sometimes it is just a mess of, I don't know, like nose bleeding and spilled coffee, which obviously isn't good. Didn't really learn too much here, except like, I don't even know what I did learn. I guess just like how watercolors behave in some way. But I loved how it looked, so I was like I was adamant on getting it right, but I didn't. So it was really frustrating again. And it turns out that, well, it's just something to get used to. And watercolors are just a medium like any other. Well, unlike any other, I should say, that it's very strange and different in how you approach it. just because of the nature of how watercolor works. And so with a bit more time, I started to pick it up at the end of the year again, and I tried to say, okay, I'm going to do one light study, just like I did with digital. I'm going to do one light study every day, and I hope to, have it be a bit better. Let me just... Now, these aren't perfect, but they much more follow some idea at least. I was like, okay, I need to understand how watercolor works before I just, slop it down and have something. So I tried to have it at least, go a bit more slow. And it turns out that's a pretty good idea. Like a lot of guides, same with other people, I guess. I inform myself on like how people do it well before I start. And I always heard that, you gotta go fast with watercolor because it dries, and I was like spazzing, being completely like way too fast, it turns out. Because I just had to take a bit more time. Now, these aren't perfect, obviously. Not even close. But for me, they are much more something that I'm gonna learn from. Where I have some landscapes and try to do some still lifes. I'm actually gonna have it a bit more clean. I'm gonna just do still lifes. I'm gonna do like a simple drawing. It's very satisfying for me because you start and you finish in the same sitting, and you just do those. And it turns out that is a pretty good idea, because the things actually look different when you take your time and you think about them a bit more. And this one's definitely the one that I'm most happy with. And even though the tower here is a bit wobbly, I hope you can see it well. And so with that, I kind of finished off the year on a very nice note, professionally and in a way that I could actually say that I learned a lot. Like 2024 was without a doubt my most, quote-unquote, productive year, because out of necessity, because of work, but also just because I had a lot of fun doing it. And a big thanks to all the artists who've gone with me through the year. I had a lot of support and a lot of guidance, and I hope to give like a small shout out to the artists while we go through. But it was very important to me that I had a lot of other people to draw with and to talk about drawing and painting with. That was a lot of fun, because for me, I was more, I guess, isolated when it comes to the passion of drawing and art in general here. So having that access online, as well as the little YouTube channel, it was very satisfying to just work on something and talk with other people about it. And I have no intention of stopping, no intention of slowing down. So hopefully the video of what I did professionally this year is going to come in April. Be sure to stay tuned for that and hit the bell, because otherwise YouTube's going to bury me. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got inspired, you learned something, or just pointed at pictures. I wish you have a great year, a great day, and take care.